Hopefully, these lectures have provided some insight into the creation, management, and graphical representation of Revit schedules. They can be very powerful when used correctly for both graphical output and also data management. However, they rely heavily on a high-quality Revit model. In this model here, I have introduced a few errors and bad practices into the model to demonstrate how this can affect schedules and why you need to be extra careful with regards to the quality of your modeling. The first thing I would say is to always check the schedules naturally before you issue them. So if I go to my room schedule here and I scroll down, I can see that I have a redundant room here that does not have an area or an area difference calculation. So I know this is on the ground floor, so I can select this row in the schedule, go back to my ground floor, and you can see down here this room looks like it's expanded into both of these areas here. Looking around, I can see that this wall extents has been moved upwards away from the external curtain wall, unlike this wall here, which is stretched the extents. So what I must simply do is select the wall, click on the drag point, drag it down to the end to meet the curtain wall, and if I hover over the room tag, and select tab, I can select the room and you can see how it's clearly enclosed into the correct space. I go back to my room schedule and you can see how the area has now been completed. The second important thing to check would be the Revit warnings. So for example, I can go to Manage tab and select on the Review Warnings tool here. Now you can see I have a few errors here. I've got some identical instances in the same place and some highlighted flaws that overlap. So if I click on the little plus, you can see here that I've got quite a lot of overlapping elements. So what I can do here, it looks like I've got a chair, this M chair brewer. So what I can do is I can take a note of the element ID, so 365924. Then I can go onto the Manage tab and then I can select by ID and I can type in 365924, which was the element ID of the warning element. Click OK, and you can see that there's a chair on the ground floor, and I can identify it because it is highlighted down here, and it looks like this chair is duplicated here. However, because this chair is in a group, it looks like this group is duplicated as well, because when I select it, unlike this group down here which goes solid blue to show it's selected, I select the group here and it's not solid blue, which indicates there is another unselected group on top of it. I can prove that by just moving the group, and yes, it looks like I have a duplicate group. So if I delete that and go back to my Manage Review Warnings, you can see I now have fewer warnings, and there is another one here. So this is another chair 365924. So 365924, and I still have a overlapping group here. Delete that, and then again go to Review Warnings, and those warnings have all been updated. So what this will do is if you have multiple elements duplicated on top of each other, you may, for example, if I were to do the same in this room, so I'm just going to copy and paste this group on top of each other so I get the identical instances in the same place, warning. If I were then to go to our instruction room layout, which is this room here, if you remember from a previous lecture, you can see that I've got a count of 42 classroom chairs. However, because I've got duplicate groups here, if you zoom out and watch the classroom chair and rectangular table quantity, you can see it says 7, but there are clearly 6 here. And I delete, you'll see how the classroom chair and the rectangular table numbers decrease. So again, checking for the warnings and overlapping elements can help you fix schedules that would report incorrect values. Additionally, if I go back to the warnings, there are highlighted floors overlapping. So this standard floor vinyl here, so 361340, go to select by ID, and I can type in 361340. So you can see that there is a warning related to the element, and it's on the ground floor. If I zoom out, so we can't see here, so what we can do is use the selection box tool. So it'll create us a 3D view, and I can see that there are two overlapping floors here. If I just expand the section box to see whereabouts this might be in our building. Looks like it's put the top here. So if I go to my ground floor, looks like it's, yes, this floor here. So if I were to delete this floor, I still have the same floor underneath. Now this will affect the, if I just undo that, this will affect the floor material takeoff. So if we look at the, delete the 3D view, go to ground floor, go to view, tile views, and check the area column here, and then I select this standard vinyl floor, so we want to look at the vinyl floor tiles, and I delete, you'll see how this number has reduced from 199 to 176. So again, checking that the model is free of warnings and overlapping elements is very important. Additionally, it's not just the warnings that you need to check. For example, now if I go to my warnings, I only have a warning to do with stairs, which I'm not too fussed about. However, if I go to, say, a 3D view of the south wing, you'll see how it looks like these walls are actually modeled too low. In plan, if I were to go back to my floor plan, everything looks normal, and this is sort of acceptable for a plan. However, the height of these walls, if I was select on one, is only 1.5 meters or 1500 millimeters tall. So therefore, if I were to have a wall schedule or a wall material schedule, the schedule would not report what I would call the correct design value, because the model does not reflect the correct extents of the model geometry in order to calculate the correct areas. The same can be said for modeling floors as well. So here, for example, I have two floors that are not overlapping. However, they're clearly in the incorrect extents. Possibly this wall originally may be moved and the electrical room was made larger. However, the floor was not updated to suit. So again, this would cause errors in the material calculation takeoff. So to fix that, I would obviously have to edit the boundary, and I can click to drag to align the boundary to the other side of the wall, and then I would do the same for the other wall. And that would fix my error there. So you can see how there are a combination of ways of checking the model, and also visual checking combined with automated checking using the review tool. The review warnings tool is a way to check the quality of your model. In practice, we would very rarely produce initial schedules for areas of key building elements, such as walls, floors, ceilings, and materials, for example, because we cannot always guarantee the accuracy of the models to provide reliable data, especially on large projects with tight deadlines and multiple users in the Revit models. On smaller projects, such as my own house, I was able to calculate the cost of the area of tiling needed for my bathroom refurbishment. However, as that was a small self-contained project, where I was effectively both the designer and the client, the incorrect data would only have affected myself and not a professional client. Additionally, I had complete control of the model and data, so I could guarantee a more accurate takeoff. So that completes the lecture on watch points. So it's very important to realize that these schedules, whilst they have excellent functionality, must rely on a high quality and checked model before issuing any information.